Have you ever heard someone dismiss an idea simply because it's old? Maybe you heard someone say, that's outdated, or people believe that hundreds of years ago, or no one believes that anymore. I mean, at first glance, this might seem like really good objections. Humanity's made extraordinary progress. We understand our generation and our universe better than any of our ancestors did. We have advanced medicine, great technology, and access to more information than any of our ancestors did too. Literally ever. The thing is, people don't often seem to realize that this comes with an insidious bias that causes people to dismiss loads of ideas, different information, and tragically, even entire worldviews simply because they come from the past. Well, C.S. Lewis called this chronological snobbery, where chronological refers to time, snobbery refers to treating one idea as inherently superior to another. So, put together, chronological snobbery is the assumption that because we are born later in history, our ideas are automatically better than those of previous generations. Now, this doesn't mean that old ideas are always right or new ideas are always wrong, but Lewis's point was a lot simpler, that the age of an idea tells us almost nothing about whether it's true. Yet in the modern world, chronological snobbery feels almost second nature. Living in a post-Enlightenment society, we're constantly surrounded with reminders of human progress. This could be that science has explained something that used to be so mysterious to us, or technology has advanced like crazy with ChatGPT or Claude. And ultimately, it's just way easier to assume that progress in knowledge means progress in wisdom. But this is really not the same thing. I mean, if I were to use Plato and Aristotle, for example, most people wouldn't claim that they have nothing to teach us anymore. But subconsciously, because they lived 2,000 years ago, they would assume that their insights are probably less valuable to us than our own. And for me, this isn't the most damaging thing. I mean, people may genuinely just discount what they have to say because of it, but it's the fact that a lot of us wouldn't even take the initiative to even read about what they have to say or hear out about what they taught simply because of this. I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm perfect. I'm still going through everything that they had to say. But the thing is, these thinkers shape our ethics and our current politics and our current virtue and human flourishing in general to this day. I mean, don't get me wrong, history obviously has loads of wrong actions and there are loads of events and beliefs that deservedly receive criticism. But there really is a difference between recognizing a wrong action and assuming our beliefs are innately morally superior simply because we're born later. The most ironic part is that future generations are going to look back at our generation as almost like we had nothing to add, yet we obviously self-proclaim ourselves as being the most forward-looking, the most innovative, the most technologically groundbreaking generation that there's ever had to be. And definitely, I mean, there is obviously evidence for all of that, but people are going to look at us the same way we're looking at people before us. And yeah, I think technology is actually a really good example that people genuinely assume that because we possess the most information than previous generations, then we're automatically going to be wiser. But despite an unprecedented amount of technological innovations, we still have the generation that struggles the most with loneliness, with anxiety, with depression, and a feeling of meaninglessness. But I think the most fascinating example could be from C.S. Lewis himself, where he dismissed Christianity simply because it seemed old. He eventually recognized that this had no argument against Christianity itself at all, and whether Christianity was true or false had nothing to do with its temporal nature, but that it needed to be evaluated by its own merits. And honestly, this is where chronological snobbery becomes really dangerous. If we magically assume that we are so much more enlightened, we risk cutting ourselves off from accumulated wisdom from the past. We risk assuming that we are uniquely innovated, we are uniquely special, and we risk committing the same mistakes that a lot of the people from the past made. And this can obviously and easily be seen in ongoing wars or even in politics. I think the obvious question that follows is, how do we then resist chronological snobbery? And C.S. Lewis suggested that for every new book that we read, for all our readers out there, that we should challenge ourselves to follow that new book with an older classical book. And this isn't like to say that older books are better, but simply just to kind of challenge our assumptions a bit. So I think more broadly is that when you call an idea outdated, it might be important to ask yourself a couple of questions. Why have I said this? Has the idea been disproven? Have I effectively considered the arguments for and against equally? Or am I just saying this because it happened a long time ago and it confirms the previous biases that I already had? So the truth is, I think personally, is that wisdom doesn't have an expiration date, but truth should be judged on whether it's true or not, and not whether the year or the century that it was expressed in.